What's up, guys? Dr. Derek Wilcox at Asheville Chiropractic, and today, headaches. Crazy common thing we're going to be talking about. But before we get into that, always remember, number one, like, number two, subscribe to our channel here, and then number three, I'd challenge you guys to comment on our videos. These are going to be something that we see a ton of value in, and we've had a lot of great feedback with, and so we want to engage more with you guys as an audience. And so please comment on videos you'd like to see us do more of or less of or anything like that. So we value that feedback, so don't forget to comment as well. And so let's get right into it today. So headaches, one of the most common things that we tend to see people consult us, seek out care for. And so headaches are incredibly common, but I want to challenge you here too. One of the most, probably something that just gets under my skin, or it just kind of irks me a little bit here all the time. People are like, oh, it's normal for me to have headaches, or it's normal for this, that, or the other. And it is incredibly common. 90 to 99% of our population will have a headache at some point in time in their life. So it is an incredibly common thing for us to see. However, what it is definitely not normal. Headaches are a symptom, and symptoms are a warning sign that something is wrong in our body. And so for me, one of the things I would love to make sure we understand is there is no such thing as a normal symptom, and our body is constantly screaming for help with those symptoms. And so it's really silly or almost borderline ignorant of us to assume that that's a normal thing. And just because it's very common for people to have those, it doesn't mean something's wrong. And so no such thing as normal symptoms. There are common, not normal. And let's get into this. So headaches, major causes here that we tend to see. So first and foremost with headaches, there's three really big causes. More of your tension, even migraine headaches, sinus headaches, and so forth. There's lots of different types of headaches here. But at the root cause, we tend to see three things that really are challenging or creating that, right? It's important to identify the root cause, just not fix the fruit issue. And so what we tend to see, number one, is going to be what we call a cervical subluxation. Some of our other videos you've heard us talk about. Subluxation is simply described as a bone out of place creating or causing stress on our nervous system. And what that does is it disconnects or disrupts the communication between our brain and our body and our body and our brain. And when those two things cannot communicate, it disrupts our normal ability to adapt to the world around us, the things we're putting in it, the things we're breathing in, and so forth there. And so cervical subluxation is number one cause we tend to see in our office. Number two cause is going to be a really common thing as well, dehydration, right? Simply not taking not only just enough water, but also potentially electrolytes. And so we'll get more into that later there. But another major common cause of headaches is going to be dehydration, which can be affected by a lot of things. And then lastly, another common lifestyle thing that we tend to see is our diet, as well. Most people we find do not eat anywhere near enough protein. And so that lack of protein or an overload of sugar or toxins or other things tend to also be at a root issue of headaches. And so let's walk through how we can help here, not only at Asheville Chiropractic, but simple things you guys can do at home to help us not continually have these headaches and not essentially allowing our body to not receive what it needs to allow it to thrive or function at its full God-given potential. So first, what do we do for headaches here? So number one thing we always do is we feel every single person should be checked for subluxation. Again, not necessarily saying we can help everybody or every single person needs to be a chiropractic patient, but everybody should be checked. And so once we check you and do that initial consultation and we do a thorough examination, a thorough history, a review of all symptomology and your lifestyle choices and everything like that. And then at this practice, we also utilize functional structural x-rays that we take as well. So once we go through that process and we do see that it's a good fit in our office here, we recommend that you get adjusted. And what is an adjustment? An adjustment is a specific force to a specific bone and in a specific direction to allow us to restore normal functional mobility of that joint. And then as a result, that will reduce any stress, tension, or inflammation in that area. Most importantly, taking stress off that nervous system to allow, again, our body to communicate back and forth with our brain and our body and so forth there. And so restoring that full God-given potential there in the way that the body was designed and created to. So number one, we want to adjust. A couple reasons an adjustment is important. Again, when that pressure is relieved off that nerves, our body, our body is only going to produce a symptom because something's wrong. And so what it does is that it restores that communication, it relieves that root issue, and as a result, our body no longer needs to warn us that there's a problem. Another thing an adjustment can do there is, especially in the upper cervical, meaning the upper part of our neck, There is tons of nerves that supply life and energy to our head and scalp in that area. And also there's a lot of attachments of what we call our dura, which is a protective sheath around our brain. And when that dura gets any stress or tension on that, that is a very alarming thing for our body. And so what that's also going to do is send a warning signal that a lot of times can show up as a headache. So two ways that the adjustment can help with that in that upper cervical or upper part of our neck area. Number one, restore the mobility to take the pressure off the nerve, but also as we restore that mobility, it can relieve that stress and tension off the dura to, again, not be sending that pain or warning signal to our body. So first at Asheville Chiropractic, we always want to adjust. Once we know we're receiving great adjustments, we then want to attack and begin to look at lifestyle things that we're doing. So another big thing we always give everybody as part of their homework here is making sure your hydration is on point. That doesn't just mean drinking a bunch of water. If you just drink a bunch of water, it actually can inversely dehydrate you because all you're going to be doing is constantly peeing and flushing stuff out. And so therefore we can be essentially eliminating a lot of the essential nutrients that our body needs to function at a cellular level. And so we're not only going to say drink enough water, but we're going to make sure the quality and content of our water is good. What do we recommend as far as the amount of water? I'm not going to give you homework as far as a specific amount of water, but I'm going to say listen to your body. It's intelligent and it was created that way. And so drink when you are thirsty. How often does that happen? It depends on your overall activity level. If you're exercising and working out, obviously you're going to require more water. Environmental factors, like if it's warmer and you're sweating, that's going to require more water. And so there's no like gold standard number of here's what I need to drink because there's so many external factors, not only in the environment, but even person to person in their activity level. But we recommend simply drink when you're thirsty. The second part of that is adding in some sort of beneficial electrolyte. Electrolytes are mainly going to involve three minerals or nutrients. The first is going to be sodium. The second is going to be potassium, and then lastly, magnesium. If you are deficient in any one of those, that also can be a major cause of dehydration that also leads to a headache. So if you feel a headache coming on, or maybe you've had too much fun the night before with some alcohol consumption, or you've been working out like crazy and sweating, or it's hot, and you wake up with a headache or you have a headache, one of the first things we recommend to do is always get some sort of beneficial electrolyte into your body. We here use a couple different brands and ways that we do that. We have Element, we have Relight, and just simply using good quality salt, which is a whole nother video that we'll get into. But those are ways that we can help get back that proper hydration level to where it needs to be to help not only relieve the headache, but hopefully in the long run prevent those headaches from happening as well. And then lastly, what we want to do is we want to look at your lifestyle from an overall diet and nutrition perspective there. So protein should be the biggest staple of our diet. When we review and look at most people's diets, we find that most people are incredibly deficient or not consuming near enough protein in their diet. And so we tend to rely more on carbs or sugar. And so unfortunately, carbs and sugar, what those can do is those can create these giant spikes, right? We get the high and then we crash, the high and then the crash. And so it's important. Our body wants healthy, sustainable rhythm. And so staying steady, protein is that slow burning fuel that our body requires to function at its full God-given potential. And so with protein, our recommendation, you're going to see pretty standard across the board here, is if you're more in a weight loss or hoping to not maintain or lose weight, that you should eat about 0.8 grams of protein per body weight. Right? So again, if a person weighs 100 pounds, they would need to consume somewhere around 80 grams of protein per day to be sufficient in that. So again, more in a weight loss, not maintaining, but a weight loss phase, we're still going to recommend you eat about 0.8 grams of protein per body weight. If you're somebody who is hoping to either gain or maintain, it's going to be more. You're going to require actually about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So that same 100-pound person would need to consume somewhere near 100 to 120 grams of protein per day. We're going to recommend from our perspective here that you primarily get that protein from meat, eggs, animal products here. From what we know is God created those animals for us to consume. And so what we see is when we look at what is in the mineral and nutritional content of meat and animal-based foods, it is a significantly higher amount of protein and vital nutrients for our body to use compared to things that are made in a lab or more synthetic. So our primary goal would be is we want to see us consuming that amount of protein, ideally from meat. Our other perspective that we use is we ideally want to see that more from a ruminant animal, meaning it has horn and hooves. And so they tend to eat more grass than grain, and that tends to be a much healthier, more nutrient-dense choice when it comes to the amount of protein that we should eat. So just a quick review with that. How do we help with headaches here at Asheville Chiropractic? Number one, we're going to adjust you if we see that that's vital and what's safe to be done. Number two, we're going to make sure we're tracking and watching our hydration, not only drinking ample amounts of water, but making sure the quality of the water is there with electrolytes or proper salt and so forth in our diet. Last but not least is we want to then look at some of the lifestyle and dietary choices you are making to make sure you're getting ample amounts of protein in your diet. And very commonly when we attack those three things and put together a great plan with that, and then you engage in that and do that, we almost always see, if not a significant improvement, even a total resolvement in that symptomology, that headache showing up. So again, headaches, they're common, they're certainly not normal, and they're there for a reason, and that's our body's way of screaming for help. And so if you're having headaches or a family member is having headaches, they don't have to live with those. Those aren't normal, they should not be there. So reach out, get checked, consult a chiropractor and see maybe are one of these three areas or things you're doing in your lifestyle causing those actual headaches before we turn to drugs or unsafe injections or any of the other things that are out there with that, and potentially creating more harm in the long run. And so what do we recommend? As always, number one, get checked by a chiropractor. So again, like and subscribe as always. Don't forget, comment on these videos if there's any other content and things you'd like to see from us here. And I look forward to connecting with you at your next adjustment. Thanks.